So in my last video, I said that if I was the Philadelphia 76ers and if I was a Philadelphia 76er fan, that I pretty much just want a good trade for Ben Simmons and I wouldn't even care about it being the best trade possible. Now, obviously that was a really dumb way to look at things, and looking back at that statement, I kind of can't believe that I said it, but I kind of can at the same time, because I talked about the AD situation in my last video, and I mean, once the season got going, that situation just kind of took our whole team down. It was one of those things that made the morale of the team terrible. It made other players kind of resent everything that was going on, and our on-the-court product suffered heavily because of that whole situation. Now, the 76ers are in a completely different position than the New Orleans Pelicans were. Just because the 76ers are expected to be contenders. If you look at this team's roster up and down, these guys can hoop. They got defenders, they're long, they're versatile. They have a guy that may have won MVP if they stayed healthy the whole year. I'm not trying to start an argument. I'm just saying that Joel Embiid last season was absolutely like that. This guy was simply unstoppable. Possibly my favorite thing about this 76ers team is that they also have some guys that can shoot the ball. Well, you know, they have guys that can shoot except for one All-NBA player, man. How quickly guys forget how good Ben Simmons really is. In the comments below, I want to know what the absolute worst package you would accept for Ben Simmons is if you were the Philadelphia 76ers. This Philadelphia 76ers versus Ben Simmons thing is like an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. You guys will see what I'm talking about in just a second, because let's just say everything is out of control. Before we go any further, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You will not want to miss another Get Like Hoop video, and that's facts. Guys, 2K released a Super Gas game, which means the streams are returning. The link to my stream is going to be down in the description below. In that same description, you'll also find the link to my NFL channel. Be sure to check it out. September 14th, it was reported that John Wall and the Houston Rockets would meet and mutually agree to work together on finding a new home for the five-time All-Star point guard. The plan is for John Wall to be present at training camp, but not play in Rockets games this season. Pretty much John Wall and the Houston Rockets are done. And when you look at where Houston is headed and their youth movement, you understand this is a really good move for both sides. The Rockets have Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Josh Christopher, Kenyon Martin Jr. The list goes on. The Rockets have this abundance of talent at the guard position, and there's only one ball to go around. So pretty much something had to shake. And that thing shaking would be John Wall. I really do feel bad for Wall, because I feel like he's gotten the short end of the stick with the Houston Rockets. His tenure in Houston has been pretty much a mess, and it's not his fault at all. He came into a giant mess with the James Harden situation. Through the whole thing, he stayed true to the Houston Rockets. He made it known he wanted to be a leader for this team going forward. And despite many people writing John Wall off, he came through and averaged 21 points per game on 40.4% from the field this season. While you would like the efficiency to go up, it's hard to not root for John Wall after everything he's been through. Now, you guys can call me a little biased because I rock with the Rockets heavy, but I think that this team has the potential to surprise some people. If the Rockets are nothing else, they're going to be exciting. Jalen Green is worth the price of admission, and don't be shocked if he ends up being the best player in this draft class. He's got a swagger, and it's clear that he wants to be the best, and he wants it bad. Isn't it crazy that we're like 2 weeks away from basketball? If you guys want a Jalen Green breakdown when the preseason starts, let me know down in the comments below. Now back to John Wall. Now, I don't know if there's a whole lot behind this right now, but I'm going to show you guys some sources because I've been seeing a lot of talk about John Wall possibly going to the Philadelphia 76ers. To quote Kendrick Perkins, I think John Wall in Philly with Joel is better than Ben Simmons in Philly with Joel. Kendrick Perkins could not be a more obvious clutch mole. John Wall is cool, but if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, there's no way I'm trading Ben Simmons in a deal that is centered around John Wall at this point of his career. A co-host of Locked On Cavs reported that after talking to some folks over the weekend, it seems the Rockets are seriously interested in acquiring 76ers forward Ben Simmons prior to the start of training camp. Things remain fluid, but John Wall could be headed to Philadelphia in a possible trade per sources. Guys, especially Philadelphia 76er fans, do you think that there is any scenario in which the Philadelphia 76ers trade Ben Simmons for John Wall? You want to know what's the craziest thing about this whole thing? Ben Simmons posted an IG story that had John Wall in it today. If you guys think that's wild, then check this out. Woj reported today that the Philadelphia 76ers All-Star Ben Simmons will not report for the opening of training camp next week and intends to never play another game for the franchise. Simmons hasn't spoken to the team since late August when he communicated this message to Sixers officials. Simmons is clearly aware of the sanctions available to the organization via fine and suspension, including withholding of salary, but so far, Simmons appears willing to carry out a plan of forcing his way to a new team. The 76ers have yet to find a trade they're willing to make for him. Now, in this situation, I want to know who you guys feel is more in the wrong, the Philadelphia 76ers or Ben Simmons. This situation is controversial, so don't be afraid to tell the controversial truth in your comment. I've told you guys many times how I feel. Now I'm interested in hearing how you feel. We had heard a lot of rumors about Ben not reporting to camp, but with Woj reporting that, hey, he's not doing this, things are bound to get pretty ugly. Now, the crazy thing about this situation to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that even though James Harden no longer wanted to be a Houston Rocket, he gave the Rockets something to work with and showed everybody that, hey, I'm still James Harden. I just really don't want to be here. In this situation, if you're Ben Simmons, do you think about reporting to camp? Do you think about possibly playing? I understand that you don't want to help the 76ers in any capacity. You really don't want to raise your value, but you're under contract until 2025. How much power do you really have in this situation? Wherever Ben goes, I know he's going to ball. If for no other reason, just to screw over the 76ers. Don't be shocked if you see Ben Simmons coming out and attempting 4 to 5 threes per game. Am I overstating things? Maybe a little, but sometimes there's no power like the power of petty. Let me know how you guys feel about this situation. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm Get Like Coop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.